Hi guys, my name is Karthik and I am from ExecuteAutomation.com and welcome to another video of our test project course. And in this video, we'll be talking about working with coded test in TestProject using Page Object Model. Alright, so let's get started. Coded test in TestProject is another great way to extend your existing recorded test. Coded tests are much sophisticated and can be shared among projects within your very own account. So that's really cool to see that we can write an coded test in TestProject, not just the record and playback option that we were doing all these days, which is really cool. Because if we want to extend our test cases of our test project, something like an MFA code automation or some of the third-party library access automation, something like an API consumptions, you can package that as a coded test and then you can use that jar file within your record and playback code of TestProject, so that you don't really have to necessarily do all those options within your test project recorded code, because it is going to be much easier and even more sophisticated. So coded UI tests are more similar in a way we bundled up and upload as a test package in TestProject as we did in the add-on section of our previous videos of this course. Just that they are created for a specific purpose for specific application, hence they cannot be shared among the community due to its nature, because the test that you're going to create is going to be very limited to your own test cases and for your own application. So you don't really have to share that to the community. And that's why TestProject has restricted the test package sharing option to the community. And since we are going to write an standard code while trying to create the custom test as a test package, TestProject has extended the SDK exclusively to support page object models. As you can see on the left hand side, we have a snippet of the code which is pretty much looking like how we do in Selenium, just that this time we are using the web element and the find by attributes, everything from TestProject's IO package. So here is the complete workflow that we're going to do in this whole video as well as in the next video. Using TestProject SDK, we are going to write coded test using page object model. And again, we are going to use Java language binding for now, because other SDK language support are going to be rolling out very quickly. I think C# is the next language SDK which is going to be released by TestProject team. So stay tuned for that. We are going to discuss about that as well. So we are going to write the test using Java in page object model. And then we are going to test the coded test that we have written in our local machine using the local test agent, pretty much like how we did in add-on. And then we are going to package the test jar file and upload the test package into our test package option which is available in TestProject. And then we are going to consume the test package in any respective recorded tests. So you can consume the test package in any recorded test within your own project, or you can also share the test package to another project within your own account. So you can do that as well. So you can do all those kind of options within TestProject using the test package that we can upload. So let's quickly see everything in action and understand how things work. So for that, I'm going to flip to Chrome browser. Alright, so this is my TestProject account and I'm going to navigate to our ExecuteAutomation test. And as you can see, until our last video, we were creating the add-ons and also we used the add-on within our test, something like this one, which is going to be clicking all the menus of our application, which is nothing but the eaapp.swami.com, right? So this time we are going to extend our test to write a test and see how it is going to be used within our test as a test package. So you can see if I go to the home and if I go back to my project, you can see there is something called as test package. So within this test package, you can upload a new test package. But before uploading a new test package, we first of all need to create a test package, right? So for that, I'm going to start creating a new test package within our intellij IDE, this one. So this is the same project that we were discussing in our previous video, but this time we are going to modify this code a little bit. Instead of working with add-ons, we are going to make use of pretty much like exactly the same thing, just that this time we are not going to be dealing with this manifest.json file, and we don't really have to have something like an add-on. Rather, we can name it as like a test case or something like that, and then we can start working from there, right? So I'm just going to create a new project, and you can see the workflow is going to be pretty much similar like how we did in our previous video. So I'm just going to quickly run through these steps, and I'm going to hit next and hit next again. So this one we created in the C:\test project add-on folder. So let me call this as test project coder test, and then I'm going to hit finish. So it's going to create a folder for me, and then I'm going to create in new window, because I just want to show you side by side like what's going to basically happen. It's going to be pretty much exactly the same like how we did in our previous videos for working with add-ons. So I'm just going to copy paste some of the codes from there, so that it's going to be very easy and you can relate what we did in our add-ons as well as in the test. So you can see this is the src main Java, pretty much like how we did for the Maven project setup here. And I can just copy some of the codes from there so that you can see it's going to be much easier. All right. So now the first thing that we need to do is to start creating the package. So I'm going to create a package here. Let's call this as test case. And you can see that the Java is the source here, but actually the source should be at least the src folder. So I'm going to go over here to the file and go to the, I guess I need to go to the project structure. And then I go to the modules, and I'm going to make the src as the source instead of the Java as the source there, so that everything will compile here. So there you go. So this guy is the source for me. So I can just delete this Java. I don't really require this folder. Again, I don't really require the Java as well. So this is the test case, and within this test case, I'm going to create a new Java class file. And I'm going to call this as login test case, and I'm going to hit OK. So this is going to be the login test case here. And then I need to have a runner, because runner is the place where we actually see how we can locally test the code that we're going to write. So I'm just going to call this as a runner, and I'm going to hit OK here. And within this runner, I'm going to create two classes. So one class is going to be the page object model class, which is nothing but the test that we're going to do for a specific page here. So it's going to be the login page. And then I'm also going to include the code that I'm actually going to be running to test as if like this code is working fine or not, right? So that one I'm going to include here, and I'm going to name it as login test case runner. So this is just for local purpose. We're not going to basically use this guy anywhere in our code. So I'm just going to hold that as well. That's it. So once everything is done, we can start writing the code over here. So this is how we can set up the whole operation here, and then we can start working from it. So all we have to do is this. We are going to start creating the page object model for this particular login page, and then we are going to see how we can consume the code that we have written here within our login test case runner. And then based on that, we are going to create a test case within this particular test case here, which is going to be pretty much like this login test case runner, just that this is the one which is going to be consumed within our test project's test package, right? So this is for the local purpose to test if our code works fine. And this is the one which we're going to use within our test project account. So the first thing I'm going to do is to start working with a page object model. So I am going to create a set of page object model find by attributes. So we can see that there is something called as find by, but you can see that it currently won't work because we need to have this pom.xml files. And again, this pom.xml file is going to be pretty much like how we did in our previous videos. So I can just copy this guys completely, and I can paste it over here. Just that this one is test project coder test. We also need to include the descriptive.xml file. So I'm going to create that as well. So this descriptive.xml file is going to be sitting within the main. So let's call this as new file. And I'm going to copy paste exactly the same thing that we saw here within here. So this file is going to extract the properties file, and also it's going to include the test project Java SDKs and all those stuff. And also the pom.xml file that we saw here is going to include the reference of our test project jar file, which is going to be sitting within my local machine, right? So you can see that external jar right now has added this particular stuff for me. And now if I go to the login page, and if I hit control space, you can see that it brings up the org.openqa.selenium support. So you can use that. and then you can start writing the code here. So again, for using this particular find by, we first of all need to identify the login page elements of our application. So I'm going to go to the eaapp.sawme.com, and we also need to click the login URL there so that it can navigate to the login page. So I'm going to inspect this. So maybe we can use the hyperlink for the login thing. So I'm just going to use the find by, which is nothing but the link text, and then it's going to be login. I'm going to do that, and then I can write a private web element, and then the element is going to be lnk login, right? And then I'm just going to do exactly the same thing this time, but this time it's going to be for the text box, and then it's going to have a button. So it's going to have a txt username, and then it's going to have txt password, and then it's going to have a btn login button, right? So if I go to the application and if I hit login, you can see it has the username, password, and the login button. So if I inspect the element, you can see that the name is actually username. Similarly, the password has the name as password. So I'm just going to use that. And again, everything can be identified using what is called as its ID. So this is going to be username, and this is going to be ID as well, and its password. And for the button login, I'm going to identify using XPath. So this is the XPath. So I'm going to identify using that. And then I'm going to perform certain operations, something like entering the username and password, and then clicking the login button. So for that, you can just do this. So public void click login link. And so this is the public very method, which is going to be accessible for the outside world. So we are going to do that. This is the first URL I'm going to click, and then I also need to have the entry of the username and password. So it's going to be public void enter login details. So it's going to include the string username and string password. So that's going to be txt username dot send keys of the username that we're going to enter, and then txt password dot send keys of password, right? So once it is entered, and then I'm going to click the login button. So public void click login button, and then that's going to be btn login dot, I guess it's submit because it's actually of type submit there, right? So everything is done here. And then we are going to start using this particular page object model code within this particular login test case runner so that I can test it in my local machine. And then I'm going to use the same idea within my test case so that I can then package that and use it within our TestProject account. So those details we'll be discussing in our next video. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next video. Thank you.